All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's NASCAR away coverage on the channel. And for you today, we have a 200-lap race at the Richmond International Raceway for the running of the Richmond 200. And I say 200 because it is our fourth and final 50% race of this Cup Series season. As we take shape for race number 10, coming in off of a second-place finish at Talladega in the third-place finish, at Talladega in the last race. Dale Jarrett won that event. We have not won back-to-back races so far this season, but in the even-numbered races this year, we also haven't fared too well. Looking back at it right now, actually, I have not won an even-number race all season long. Actually, no, Phoenix. Phoenix I did. That was the only one, though, which would have been the last even-number race because we didn't go back-to-back. So we'll see how this is going to fare out for us. So far on the season, looking at my stats, we have 4 wins. And we have seen quite a few different winners. Dale Jarrett. Let's see here. Who else has a win? Brian Vickers has a win. Jimmy Johnson has a win. Oh, sorry, not Brian Vickers. Casey Mears. 25 car. I was thinking NASCAR 07 there. So Casey Mears has a win this season. Clint Boyer, Bobby Labonte, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Jarrett at Talladega in the last race, pulling off the upset in the 44 car. So we'll see who's going to win this one. We've had a lot of upsets already this season. Short tracks, we don't see a lot of lead changes. And starting at the back, this could be interesting for ourselves. Green flag is in the air. Jimmy Johnson is on the pole as he tries to get his second win of the year, and we are underway. Fourth car of tomorrow race as well. No practice, no qualifying, just jumping right into tonight's event. And hoping we don't have any major issues going on with the race car. Get a feel for these first few laps. Already making passes, though. Most of them on that first lap were from the initial start. And getting up to speed into turn 1 gained several spots. Kind of tiptoeing down on the apron. It's actually working out very well down there. At least while the tires are fresh. With this being a 50% race, I'm curious to see if this is going to be a 1 or a 2 stopper. I'm going to guess 2. But I can see a 1 stopper. Got a little light on me there. We're already up to 26. This is looking very good. Almost too good. 3 wide, just up ahead. Mark Martin making the pass on Sterling Marlin and Kevin Harvick. Jackson Robinson and Wade, by the way, thank you for tuning in here tonight. Made a couple 3 wide passes already. I didn't go down to the apron that time trying to give myself more room, and I crammed it right into the left rear corner panel Dave Blaney's car. I mean, honestly, being up in 13th already, flying through the field. Contact with David Rudiman. He'll get up out of the way for us in the next corner. It's got to be the quickest I've driven into the top 10 starting at the back of the pack like this. Whether I qualified there or just didn't qualify at all and started back there. This is insane. Up to 8th already. Am I able to watch the Stadium Series Saturday? Probably not. I know I'm going to the Elimination Chamber. No, I'm not going there. I was going to say I'm going to somebody's house to watch the Elimination Chamber Saturday night. By the time that Xfinity Series race ends, I'm pretty much going to have to leave pretty closely after the fact. So no, I'm not really going to be able to catch any of the game this weekend. Yeah, now the racing season's back, I mean, I'm not going to be able to really watch much hockey unless it's during the week. Same for when baseball ends up coming around. Keep up with it during the week and then kind of play catch up after the fact when we get over to Monday again. Good starting spot and good early run for the 13. Joe Nemechek. A lot of underdogs at the front of the field. Brian Vickers is up here in the 83 for Red Bull Racing. You got the 09 of Mike Wallace in second, all trailing defending series champion Jimmy Johnson. Casey Kane up to third, though, as he clears Vickers up turn 4. And it's probably not going to be long before Casey takes his first lead of the race, the rate that we're currently going. Looking for second underneath the 09. A little slippery. I drove it in a lot deeper that time. What Elimination Chamber? It's a WWE pay-per-view, of course. I'm always going to be the old-timer saying pay-per-view because that's what I grew up with it being. Premium live event is what they call it now, but it's easier just to say pay-per-view. It's a lot less syllables. Well, bump and run on the door of Jimmy Johnson. Down to the left side. Yeah, I'm going to be watching that with the people I ended up going to the Royal Rumble with last month in Indianapolis. I think that's basically just going to be a thing now where once a month we're going to get together for the pay-per-view and just watch it, whether we're actually there or whether we're at the comfort of one of our places, usually his house. I mean, that doesn't start till 7, which would be pretty much around the end of the hockey game, but like I said, I'm going to have to drive there, and it's going to take me a good 45 minutes or so to get to where he lives. Kind of a haul for me. Ruben Tompa, thanks for tuning in. Greetings. So just a couple laps ago, Casey Kane took his first lead of the race. Oof. There's that fine line of when I drive it in a little too deep and the tires really start to slide out from underneath me getting into the corner. It's like that at most tracks, but I've noticed that even more so on the flatter tracks that we've gone to. Martinsville was very much like that. I do feel like I have more grip here at Richmond than what I did at Martinsville, so that's good for the start. There is slightly more banking too, which also could play a hand. More prepared. Knowing that I ran Martinsville just a couple races ago. For the Cup side, at least. I have gone to the Xfinity races a couple times. Very select tracks I've actually seen in an Xfinity race. Oh, who do I have? Oh, my bad. I misread that. I'm not sure of the Cup regulars that are running that race off the top of my head. So I'm not sure at the moment. You would definitely think that Connor Zilic has to be one of the favorites for sure. Of the Xfinity regulars, I would take him, but I'm not sure who else is in the field. I haven't looked at the entry list yet for this weekend. It's one of the HendrickCars.com drivers in the 17 the last couple years has come from Hendrick Motorsports in the Cup Series. I know Alex Bowman's run that race in years past. William Byron has as well for the Xfinity Series. So There might be another strong competitor by way of a Cup Series driver running the Xfinity race this weekend. Thankfully, Uso got traded. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Byron, Ross Chastain, Hocevar. I'm assuming Chastain is probably in the Mario Gosling car again because he usually runs that. The last couple of years he's ran Xfinity races, so I don't think that equipment's going to be good enough for him to compete if he's in that 92 car again. So Byron's going to be in the Cars.com car. Felt like I said that wrong the first time. I didn't. Yeah, with that being the case, man, I don't know. 8-game winning streak for the Pistons. Somebody at work told me about that earlier. It's sad that I have not kept up with them all season. Really, I haven't kept up with them much the last several years, so it's not like it's just a this season thing. My basketball juices will probably start flowing again next month once March Madness comes around, so the Pistons doing as well as they are, they make the playoffs. Maybe that'll get me back into watching it on a more regular basis. We are high on that red limiter for the second straight race. Well, second straight short track race, because I was having this issue at Phoenix too. The half-mile short tracks have been fine. But the 3/4 mile track here at Richmond, the 1 mile track with the car tomorrow at Phoenix, we've been high on the chip. Oh, Chastain's at JRM. Wow. Okay, well, that'll be interesting. Yeah, Zillage will definitely have some stiff competition in the field then. Is Hocevar in the 77? What car is he driving? So I know he ran that for select races when he was still in the Truck Series. I don't know if that's going to be the same for Cup this weekend or not. Yeah, 17-5-2 is insane. How much of a difference. I mean, you look at the Pistons too, though. They got a new coach this offseason from Cleveland. Still shocked that Cleveland fired him, but at the same time, it just goes to show what a difference one head coach can make on an entire team with not many changes going on pre and post new coach. I mean, at the end of the day, the players have to play, but when you see an overhaul like that, or lack thereof on the overhaul side of things, but all you plug in is a new coach and you see how much better a team can end up being, that's when you really see the potential of what you actually have. I'd say on both sides of things here, we need to lock both of those coaches up. Hocevar's in the 14. So what, I'm trying to think, what team is the 14? That's my next question. How do I think I'm going to get through lap traffic? I would imagine pretty okay, considering I started deep in the field and I barely made contact with anybody when making my way through it. Just over a 3-second lead over second place right now, but we still got quite a ways until I get into lap traffic, too. I'm definitely getting more of a floaty feel with the race car than what I once was. Not sure where we're at on fuel right now. I don't think I've even hit half a tank yet. I haven't even hit half a tank yet. We'll see if we can make it to lap 50 before we get to half a tank. I was expecting this to be a two-stop race with the fuel window most likely getting accelerated. SS green light, gotcha. Yeah, off the top of my head, I couldn't think of what team that was. Somebody just blew an engine and hit pit road. I don't know who that was. Tough to tell. Whoever it is, they're definitely out of the race. It is an unscheduled stop. Considering, again, we're not even halfway out of gas yet. You like Richmond? Honestly, I think Richmond's a highly underrated racetrack. I think it catches a lot of flack for not racing like a traditional short track nowadays with the way the tire strategy kind of comes into hand. But there's very few, if any, other tracks on the circuit that are quite like Richmond when it comes to the tire wear side of things. Darlington's the only other track I could think of where you have that alternating pit strategy option for tires, and I think that's what makes it unique in its current state. That's just my takeaway from it. I get joy out of watching that. You see that once or twice a year when they had 2 dates. Obviously now it's down to 1 with the Mexico race, I believe, was the race that took its date away. The spring event, at least. Away from Richmond. Watch the cams on Matt. Well, it was cool when it was free. Now it's not free anymore. I don't think it's cool. I saw they just jacked the rates up on Max as well. Just earlier in the week. I think it was $99 for a whole year, and now it's $160 something, if I'm not mistaken. Assuming that you want ad-free coverage with it. I think ad-free, it's like $170 almost. It's crazy. Free for you. You watching on the Saudi stream or something? The dark web? What races do I plan on going to this year? So my plan is to get to 6 of them. And it starts with Talladega in the spring. That will float into the following weekend on a vacation at Texas Motor Speedway. And then I'll be at Michigan again. That'll be the 3rd race I plan on going to. Definitely want to get back to Bristol Night. I'd like to get to Indianapolis for the Brickyard 400 this summer. Then the other one's wide open. I have zero clue. The other one is definitely wide open right now. More than likely, it'll be the championship at Phoenix, but I'm not 100% sure because I would like to do that over again and get the full experience of the entire week this time. The only problem with that is, well, I shouldn't say there's a problem with it, but I should say that it's going to be dependent basically on when the NASCAR schedule comes out for 2026, if it's going to be the championship race or not. Because if it's going to be the championship race again next year, personally, I probably end up going to like a Martinsville or something in the fall instead. Just because I haven't been to Martinsville in a minute, and I was craving Martinsville hot dogs literally just a week or two ago. So I was like, I need to get back there just for that reason alone. Got to go for those $2 dogs. With everything on it, can't beat it. Some good living right there. Marley Good, thanks for tuning in. Any truck or Xfinity races this year? Dega's a question mark on the Xfinity race. I definitely know I'm streaming the ARCA race early in the afternoon. It depends what traffic is going to be like as soon as the ARCA race ends and getting from the hotel to the track before the Xfinity race starts. Yeah, it's going to be dependent on that. And I'll have Google Maps ready to kind of help guide me time-wise to see if I can actually make that feasible. Otherwise, I just end up streaming the Xfinity race that weekend from wherever I'm staying. Well, I know where I'm going to stay, but I'm not going to make that public. But as far as that's my plan for that. By the way, what is Denny Hamlin doing in 41st right now? The heck? On a short track? This is his home track. He's won here several times, and now he's a lap down in 41st. Terrible performance. Jimmy Johnson's still in second after qualifying on the pole. Didn't lead many laps before Casey Kane took the lead. 5 seconds back right now is Johnson. Ethan, thanks for tuning in. Mexico would be cool, but I don't have a passport, so I don't know that. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Personally, I would like to take an old buddy of mine from high school if I ever, however long NASCAR is going to end up racing in Mexico, I think that'd be a cool trip for us. He's got family that lives down there too, so that might actually end up working out fairly well. He can help me too because he also speaks Spanish. Most of his family speaks it, so he's bilingual. So that'll help me out a ton, because if I were to go there by myself, I'm just going to face it, it's not going to happen. I would definitely end up going with somebody else, especially if that other person knows the language. I took Spanish for a couple years in high school, so I'll be able to pick up on words, and even like when his mom would have like conversations with him or something in Spanish, I would pick up on words here and there, but I can't do anything to formulate a sentence not only fast enough, but articulate enough for me to feel confident really speaking back and forth with somebody. I don't even know. I'd probably sound like drunk, basically. They'd probably pick up on some words I'm saying, and I'd probably be mispronouncing some of them. Yeah, learning a new language is tough. Anybody that's able to master it, multiple languages, that's more power to them. That takes a lot, and I mean a lot of time, effort, and energy. Obviously, if I had dedicated more time, after my high school years into trying to learn the language, sure, I could have gotten there, but I didn't feel the want to do something like that. Just throw me over the border. Well, I'm not going to go there illegally. If I do intend to race there, it's definitely not going to be this year. I mean, I'd like to go at some point just because I'd like to get to every track at least once. That would definitely be a new one. Of the newer tracks that they put on the schedule since they really started changing things up around 2020-ish, I haven't missed a new track. I've either already been to that one or it's still on the schedule, so it'd give me a chance to go. I'm not counting the Clash because it's an exhibition race. When I went to the Bristol All-Star race, I told myself I wasn't going to go to another exhibition race again. It was cool to do it once, but the night is so short. It is so short. You go to as many cup races as I've been to, or even if you've been to several cup races before, you go there expecting a cup race and you don't get anywhere near the amount of action, essentially. I mean, you got half the cars on the track. It's a very different feel. The race isn't as long. I mean, even since they've had it in North Wilkesboro, as cool as it'd be to go, it's shorter than the Truck Series race length. 200 laps. I think the truck race the last couple of years was 250. Go there on Saturday for the truck race, and then you get the heat races with the Cup Series. You end up getting more racing than what you see on Sunday. Granted, you got the LCQ in there too, but again, that's even less than the field that's already cut in half for the All-Star race itself too. So, yeah, like I said, cool to do once. They give North Wilkesboro a points paying race. I would definitely like to go there at some point. Hopefully they end up doing that. Want to return to Kansas. It's hot that day. Literally almost died. It can't be that bad. Were we there at the same time? I can't remember. I think it was the same year, but you were there in the spring race and I was there in the fall, if I remember that correctly. Yeah, luckily the year I went to the fall race, it was in the first round, so it was in September. It was beautiful weather that day. Clear skies in the 70s. It was great. Logano car. Yeah, the shell before Logano, that was a Kevin Harvick car that we had just passed. I've got that diecast too. Not the car tomorrow version, though. I have the Gen 4 version. Hey, Kyle Busch deep in the field. You got Harvick, Hamlin, and Kyle Busch all deep in the field right now. About 29 laps away from halfway. Should be able to make this race on one pit stop. Things are going pretty well. Still caution-free. We have not had a caution-free Cup race yet. And that doesn't matter whether it's been the 350% races or the rest of the races this season, which were 100% in the full race length. Spring, that's right. Yeah, that's what I thought. What was the temperature that day? Being in the springtime, I wouldn't expect that it would have been that warm. Nothing will ever beat Chicagoland when I went there in 2019 as far as how hot at the racetrack. Nashville was pretty hot a couple of years ago in 2021. That was a 90-degree day too, so that is definitely up there, but it was suffocating at Chicagoland. The air temp was 101 out on the concourse. I mean, the rain came and it cooled everything down during the rain delay, but before the rain delay, I've never, I don't sweat that much. I did when I played sports, like growing up and stuff, but ever since then, like even when I work out now, I don't seem to sweat as much as what I used to when I was in my teen years, but I sweated through my shirt that day. Like it was bad. Both sides. I've never done that just walking around. Maybe in like basketball or something like that growing up in high school. Yeah, I would sweat like that, but never just like walking around that I had ever sweat that much. It was insane. It was 101. You're outside. You're on the asphalt. Oh my gosh. Dale Jarrett just ran right through us. It was not a caution. He basically dumped us. I think it was a speed glitch we just went through. That was so random. Landon Auguster, thanks for tuning in. 90 plus. Yeah, it's pretty warm. Yeah, that was definitely a speed glitch. Now we got some damage to the back of the race car, too. I don't remember you sweating that day. I remember you and your presence, but yeah, I don't remember. Well, it was. I can't remember if it was still raining at that time. They were obviously during the rain delay, so I'm sure everybody was wet in some facet. Yeah, this thing's starting to get really, really bad right now with how loose it's getting. It was getting loose through the tri-oval. The car was wanting to spin out, clip the grass. Trying to nurse it to lap 100. We've got Michael Waltrip hitting pit road, but I don't think that's a scheduled stop. I think he might have been blowing up. We're going to put another half round of wedge into the car to try to tighten it up. Car was great, and then it just clipped all of a sudden about 5 laps ago. Back in these corners way down. I mean, the pace has dropped exponentially. 20.720 is our fastest lap of the race. I'm having to baby it around this racetrack. That was over a 22-second lap time we just put up. I overcorrected it there. Starting to give up quite a bit of my lead, too. It was over 5 seconds. Oh, yeah, I was definitely in shorts. You'd be foolish to wear pants if it was 101 degrees outside. I wish I would have brought pants with me because after it rained, I got cold. Because I was all wet, and it never really broke 70 degrees again the rest of the day. It was dark outside. It was windy. It was a cold 60. Once I finally dried off, I wasn't cold anymore, but they got back to racing when I was out there in the wind and I was still wet. But the first 40 minutes or so, I was actually kind of cold. I'm glad I ended up warming up eventually. So I don't know that they would have had many sweatshirts for sale considering the temperatures well before the race started that I would have been able to try to go down and get. I'm about to lose the lead. I might have to short pit. I don't think I'll make it on fuel if I do that, though, but I'm giving up so much time right now. This car is all over the place. Did a great job getting to that 5.5-second lead, but it is vanishing very, very fast. We still got to go another 12 laps after this. I think some of the problem is probably the damage to the back of the car sustained after Dale Jarrett had pounded us from behind in turn 3 earlier. That's got to be affecting the handling quite a bit too, on top of the tire wear. Felt like I was dirt tracking it all the way through 1 and 2. A lot of right, left, right, left, right, left. Ay, ay, ay. Another big slide there. I'm trying to push a little harder so I don't lose this lead, but it is not working well. Field is coming. Yes, they are. I literally have to let this thing feed all the way out to the wall on the front stretch. I can't hold the tight angle, but then I struggle kind of turning in because I have nowhere near the control of my car I want to have right now. I feel like I'm just absolutely tiptoeing around this track. What's my lap time going to be this time? Ooh, man. Over 3 seconds slower. I was almost in the 24s. 23.8. Wasn't bad through 1 and 2. Got a 1-second lead. Jimmy Johnson still in second. Every step of the way. I can't tell who's in third right behind him. I missed it on the leaderboard. Way more focused in on trying to keep control of my car right now. I can't really do anything else. Can't look at the chat. I can't look at the leaderboard. I'm just trying not to wreck. Definitely going to have to tighten this thing up. Repair the damage to the back of the car. That might make for a slightly lengthier stop, too. We know the short run pace is there. Medium pace is also there. Just finishing pace, not so much. Almost wiped out there. Can't spin either. Can't cause the caution, otherwise I can't pit for tires or fuel. Still caution free in this one, 95 laps in. I didn't wear a Speedo that day. I was trying to ignore that comment. Just had to egg it on. Never wore a Speedo in my life. I don't have the cojones to attempt to pull that off. Nobody wants to see that either. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. Man. Still sliding around. Just over a half a second lead. That was a big one right there, too. It was literally just a couple laps after Dale Jarrett hit me that this started happening. I almost wonder if it's more the damage than the tires. I mean, it has to be both, but the problem is I can make the adjustments, but if it is the damage, we can only fix so much of it. Hoping the pit crew can do what they can to try to I know you're kidding. I'm taking it as a joke. That one's out there. All right, I'm halfway. I'm pitting. Can't take this anymore. Or maybe I can. One more. I don't really know that was worth it or not. Trying. Yeah, I'm definitely pitting this time. Give me fresh touch. I gotta not wipe out on the apron trying to get to pit road. I know I could have taken it a lot faster into the pits, but I don't think my car was gonna let me. All right, I'm putting a round and a half a wedge into it. Dropping the air pressure 4 pounds all the way around as well. All right, 22.6. Definitely have to take it easy leaving the pits. Oof. Spun the tires a little bit. I almost clipped Denny Hamlin in the left rear. He might be pitting this time. We got to get around him. Yeah, he's definitely pitting. I noticed there were a lot of cars on pit road at the same time. It's crazy. I pit early, and they all pit with me. It almost feels like real life when green flag pit stops go on this game. And it's not even just me either. Like, I could stay out a little longer. Once one person pits in the cycling of pit stops, everybody comes down. It's not as wide ranged as the earlier EA games before this. I don't think our pit stop was very quick either. I think we're going to lose the lead. Currently in 10th, still got several more cars down there. Jimmy Johnson just working his way off pit road. Mike Wallace is leading the race. Wow, what a run, Mike Wallace. Qualified well, and he's out in front in the second half of this race. Jimmy Johnson ruffling some fenders. The 19 of Elliott Sadler. Casey Kane 3 wide under Vickers and Sadler. 5.2 seconds off the lead. I gave up over 6 seconds of time on pit road. A lot of that was trying to repair the damage to the back of the car. It wasn't like the picture made a mistake. It's the damage from Dale Jarrett's car, and just got to hope that the car is not going to be as loose late in this run. Major wedge adjustment, major air pressure adjustment. We took some big swings, which I don't like to usually take, but the car needed it for the long run. And I don't feel like I'm giving up much on the short run. The car still feels good right now, just like it did earlier. Already up to 5th, just past Dale Jr. Jimmy Johnson fell to 7th now. And that's as far back as he's been in the running order all night. So just slowly run him down and try to get back to the lead. I think he's underneath me. I can't tell. Oh, no. He's way in the rear view. Never mind. He was so far back, I thought it was somebody else. I will say with tightening it up, it feels more tight off the exit of the corner. It's got to be quicker, though. I just ran my fastest lap of the race. 20.712. Only ended up beating it by 7 1,000ths of a second, but it was still our fastest lap. Wolf, Clint Boyer, and Matt Kenseth right there. Hey, hey, hey. Up to 3rd. Trying to get by John Wood. Not sure if he's a lap down or not. Oh no, it was for position. My gosh, what a top 2. Mike Wallace and John Wood, 1-2 at Richmond. The heck? Got Wood clear, though, off turn 2, so now he's back to 3rd. Fastest lap of the race again for us, 20.709. We're not beating our fastest laps of the race from early on by much, but we are beating them. So it tells me I went the right way with my adjustment change. At least for the short run. Again, we'll see how this is going to be with like 20, 30 laps to go in the race. So it might get bad again. That lap was even better. Okay, 20.560. I was over a tenth quicker. We might have found something. Sound is off. I thought I saw you mention something about it earlier. I haven't checked it. Obviously, you're not talking about the mic. And you're talking about the game audio, I take it? I know it's definitely not muted, so it must have turned off during the game. During the race. During our gameplay tonight. No game audio. Mic is good. I'd be shocked if this is actually muted on my end. Yeah, it's not muted. Let me know if anybody else is having the same issue before I log out of OBS and log back in, because that's going to take a few minutes for me to go through that. Try not to pause this thing for too long. Trim the lead down to 2 seconds. Mike Wallace working his way through the thick of lap traffic right now. Audio streams current. Okay. I did see a pop-up just a second ago. Try to take care of this real quick. Audio will still be on for the mic, so at least there's that. That's one of the few questions with OBS I have not answered to this point. I don't know why it does that from time to time. Every once in a while, audio will just randomly stop on the gameplay. Game and mic is working like it should. Now I gotta definitely turn it back down. I mean, it might have just been for you then. Alright, let me know if it's louder or better than before. Because if it's not working anymore, then that's probably on your end. Because it's working on my end. I literally saw the volume up. But I did get a pop-up on the audio bit rate moments before I reset it, so that could have been probably the issue, I would assume. I'm not a tech wizard by any means. It's taken a lot longer to get to Mike Wallace than what I was expecting. Creeping 3 wide. Got a good run on Bobby Labonte that time. Have him cleared. Drove it in really deep. I got loose. I don't know how I didn't make contact with him. He backed out of it, though. If we were still 3 wide, that would have definitely had a lot of contact involved. Just a ton of lap traffic where we're at right now. Just over 1 second off the race lead. I don't know how Mike Wallace got through this as quick as he did. More power to him. I see him up there. He's still passing cars. 70 laps to go. We got plenty of time to get there, and we're just kind of slowly chipping away. Ran some of our fastest laps of the race since leaving pit road. 3 more lappers as of right now between the top 2. That could change. Wall still has probably about 5 or 6 cars in front of him. Fastest lap again for Casey Kane, 20.461. I haven't announced it on the stream yet, but I am changing around the stream for tomorrow. We will still be doing NASCAR 08. I actually have a full day of overtime tomorrow at work, so I'm not going to be able to get home before 5 o'clock for the scheduled start time of the stream. Because it's one of the longer cup races, I'm definitely going to do that on a day I don't have work, so I'm planning for Monday to run the Southern 500. So I moved it back to Monday already. I just haven't put a community tab post out yet. And as far as tomorrow's stream, we'll just end up doing either a truck or a bush race for tomorrow night. Probably end up doing the trucks at Boulder for the road course race there. So we'll do the trucks at Boulder, and then we'll end up being just fine for Monday to do the Southern 500 on NASCAR 08. And we'll have the 600 for the following weekend. Did get by Mike Wallace there recently. 1 lap car between the 2 of us as well. Just over a 0.6 of a second lead at the line. 1 more lap car that we have to deal with, and that would be Dave Blaney in the 22. Little slide job, going to get by him through turns 1 and 2 there. Things are looking up. And already Casey Kane has just clinched the most laps led. Just a few laps after retaking the lead. Wallace mathematically had a shot while he was out in front if he were to lead to the end, but obviously not going to happen. Once again, thanks for everybody tuning in for the stream here tonight. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done so yet. We're at 13. The stream counter, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. NASCAR 08 tomorrow. Live commentary coverage will kickstart again this weekend. COTA for Xfinity and Cup Series action. Truck Series will be off this week. And we will go live at 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday morning for Cup Series practice and qualifying, which will all be in the same stream leading up to the start of the Xfinity Series race. So a doubleheader Saturday of live commentary with Cup practice and qualifying on Amazon Prime, but right here live on KRC, and then again the Xfinity Series. And I am aware of what time practice and qualifying starts this week. It is 11. It was 11:30 last week, and then they ended up changing it sometime in the middle of the week. I did not see that. That's why I was about 20 minutes late to the stream. Technically, I was 10 minutes early to the stream I had set, but I was 20 minutes late to qualifying, so we missed about the first 16 cars on track, unfortunately. But could have been worse. Could have missed the entire thing. That would have really sucked. It sucked enough as it was. And I haven't seen them change the start time for qualifying so far this week. Practice and qualifying, so hopefully it stays the same. It's really hard for me to see NASCAR news while I'm at work. I'll get notifications all the time. It's one of those things, you know, sometimes I might accidentally swipe off a notification before I click on it, especially if it's NASCAR related, because I try to obviously read into it and stuff. But if I miss it, I miss it. Nothing like that's ever happened, though. Usually I do see the start time changes, but I missed that one. Either that or they did, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that they did change it after the fact. Because I was trying to do some due diligence for myself and try to figure out, did they actually change it or if I missed it? And I'm pretty sure they did move it up so that way they could put more of a gap time between Cup qualifying and the truck race. Because had they started it at 11:30, they would have really only had like 20 minutes before the race for the truck series. So they did end up giving them more time with bumping it back a half hour, and they ended up getting it done about 50 minutes early. No, we won't have to pit again. Just a one-stopper. Already in the books there. Tires are wearing out already before halfway, so that's a little concerning. We pitted at lap 102, so we'll actually go one less lap. 2 less laps by the time we exited pit road, lap 103. 2 less laps on this run for tires and fuel than what we had earlier. Lead is looking good, but we kind of want to grow that out as far as we can right now. We had a 5.5 second lead earlier, and it got down to about a 0.6 of a second lead before we hit pit road at lap 102 because the car was so loose. We made heavy adjustment changes, wedge air pressure, dropped the air pressure all the way around 4 pounds, really trying to plant this car to the ground, tighten it up, especially for the long run. We have lingering rear bumper damage from Dale Jarrett after putting him a lap down earlier. Ran right through us a couple corners later. Got up against the wall a little bit in the middle of the corner as well after that contact from behind. We stayed green through it. I can still notice some of the damage around the right rear corner panel. Nowhere near as bad as it was. So that's going to be the real question mark. No lead is safe. We end up catching a late caution. I don't want to pit, but man, I don't think we'll be able to hold on to win the race if we catch a yellow. It's going to take time to try to build this lead back up again. I didn't realize Jeff Gordon was out of the race, by the way, till just now. Dead last. I remember seeing Michael Waltrip pull off. I remember a car pulling off real early, but I didn't realize it was Gordon. Around lap 140-ish. Tony Stewart's in third. You got Nemechek. John Wood fell back to fifth. Johnson's still in seventh. Our teammate Elliott Sadler's in the top 10 and 8th still. There are only 11 cars on the lead lap. I think if we catch a caution, I'm pitting. I didn't realize how few cars we had on the lead lap in this one. It's so strange we only have a 3.8 second lead. We've been caution free, yet there's only 11 cars on the lead lap. I'm missing something here. Because that's an odd stat line. Southern 500 is a COT race in 2007. Yeah, just over half the schedule. It's supposed to be COT. We had a lot of Gen 4 races early in the year, so we'll definitely be seeing this car tomorrow more often going forward. Wasn't the second Dega race also a car tomorrow in 07? Second Dega race is COT. Okay. That's what I thought. Thought I remember that correctly. I always also remember that I had this one book. Well, I might have it still, but I remember having it when I was really young. And seeing pictures of Talladega with a Car of Tomorrow car. But I could tell it was 2007 because the Nextel logo was still on the cars. And obviously they went to Sprint Cup in 2008. I don't remember that race too well, but I can remember that book more than I can remember the race. So that always kind of helped me remind myself that they did run Car Tomorrow at Talladega in 2007. It was technically the first Car Tomorrow Super Speedway race and not the 2008 Daytona 500. Though the 08 500 was the first time that obviously they had him at Daytona. It's not on a super speedway in general. 39 laps to go. We're getting closer to the finish here. 4.6 second lead. Car, as of right now, still handling well for the most part. It's freed up quite a bit from where it was. And we have, again, almost 5-second advantage over second place, but we had 5.5 seconds earlier. And with just less than 38 laps to go, this car faded fast. And we barely held on to the lead leading up to the pit stops. I'd like to think I've taken care of the tires better this run, early on, than what I did in the first run as well. I do feel like I was sliding the tires maybe a little bit too much. I'm doing everything I can, not only on the adjustment side of things, but also trying not to push as hard. I was pushing hard to get back to the lead. Once I got there and started to extend it, got to about 2 seconds ahead. Now I'm just kind of managing my own pace, and I'm still pulling away slightly. I had to get to that point first, so last thing you wanted is for it to cliff and you don't have a big lead by the time I would have gotten there, and then there was no chance I was going to hold on whatsoever. Nah, I won't have to pit again. The fuel's definitely going to be fine. The tires are a little concerning, but I'll be able to make it. It's just going to be very free. I'm still expecting it to be free. I don't know if it's going to be as bad as it was the first run, at least for as long as it was. Laps are going down pretty quickly, though, so that's good. It is a short track, after all. Just over 20-second lap times. Tires haven't really fallen off a whole lot up to this point. About a half a second. I was running over 3 seconds slower a lap than my fastest laps of the race earlier, and that was when the fastest laps were around a 27. And not a 24.61 like they are right now. So half a second off, it's really only about 0.2 off from where I was at my fastest in the first run. So realistically, the tires haven't faded that much. Just over a 5-second lead still, 30 laps to go this time by. Good things are going for Casey Kane in the number 9 to try to get the 5th win of the season for himself this year. Yeah, about 3 laps a minute. Yeah, we're less than 10 minutes away from the checkered flag, so. Hold on and get another W. Bit loose getting into one that time. That time I felt like I overdrove it, though. Just got to back the corner up a little bit more, especially if the tire's fading. A lot steadier through 3 and 4 there. Definitely haven't had any of that right-left action like I was doing earlier to try to keep the car from wanting to spin out on me. Mike Wallace still in second. What a finish. To get some bonus points, lead some laps in the race, and maybe bring it home P2. Obviously, it's not a full race, so it would have been interesting to see if he would have actually been able to put together that kind of a run in a 400-lap Richmond race rather than 200, but even still. All the points are awarded the same as what we would have any other race. .25 to go now. All 4 tires in the yellow and the tire wear indicator. None of them are in the red yet. They'll get there eventually. Probably sooner rather than later. 6-second lead. That's my largest lead of the race. First run, we only got up to about 5.5 before it cliffed. We still barely held on to the lead, so chances are looking okay. And it cliffed a lot earlier at this point in the run, too. And it hasn't cliffed yet. We still got 23 to go, but I can manage this. At least I think I can. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to back it up and actually do it. Also got to hope nobody hits me from behind either. They're driving it in way deeper than I am. Really backing up the entry to the corner. That last lap was 1.3. A little free getting into turn 1. Got nothing too terrible. Look at the slow up. We got Dale Jarrett, 44. Got Jarrett another lap down. Man, Matt Kenson's back at 30 at 2. I know I lapped him a second time. Newman. There's so many drivers having problems in this race. Good elite drivers that have not had great runs whatsoever. Whoops. Man, right in the back of Boyer. Look how far ahead I launched him on the straightaway. Then we get the speed glitch. I catch right back up to him in the next corner. What the heck? That shouldn't have happened. Caught him so quick I couldn't move out of the way, and I hit him again. Knocked myself against the wall slightly. All right, 18 laps left for Casey Kane to get win number 5. Still extending the lead. definitely losing time as far as lap time goes, but see, that's another thing too, though. We had Jimmy Johnson in second place chasing us earlier. Mike Wallace is still in second. Tony Stewart's at third. If Tony gets around him, I wonder if he can start to eat into the lead a little bit. But Mike Wallace definitely isn't really eating into that lead at all. Still raises the question if we got to let yellow if I pit or not, because the original attempt would have been to pit. But now we're even later in the race. There are only 11 cars on the lead lap, so it's still a tough decision. Probably get a good fire off on the fresh tires as well, get quite a few of them back. Actually, there's less than 11 on the lead lap now. I didn't even realize how many cars we've been trying to pass here recently. A lot of contact with Jimmy Johnson off the exit of turn 2. Caught him quick. So Sadler goes a lap down. Johnson a lap down now as well. 12 laps to go, and there are not that many cars on the lead lap. Johnson battles back. He's in 10th. So yeah, now we have 9 cars on the lead lap. And there's some more of the top 10 not that far ahead. Slight loose moment, 10 to go this time. No incentive to really pass than anybody else. Started finally giving up a little bit of time to Mike Wallace. It was almost a 7-second lead, down to about 6.5, but we have 10 laps. We can give up as much of this 6.5-second lead as we can here. Just whatever happens. Need this thing to stay green. I think, honestly, we'd be foolish to pit at this point. We'd have a better chance of winning staying out, trying to hold on for dear life, than to try to drive from like 9th on the restart all the way up to 1st. Although I think Scott Riggs would be another car to go a lap down. Nope, I have that wrong. John Wood in 9th would be the last driver on the lead lap. Another big slide in the tri-oval. I had one of those earlier too. The first run. So weird it pokes out like that where it does. There's John Wood in the 21. Now I'm finally starting to dirt track it again. We definitely went with a very huge improvement on the huge adjustments we made during that lone stop of the race. I'm glad I took the swing as far as I did because we definitely didn't repair the damage to its fullest. No way to do that. Repaired as much as we could. Combination of those two things have really shaped us up for the second half of this race. Now we have 4 to go this time by. Just trying to get to the white flag. Lead down to around 6 seconds even. Pretty close to it. Over 2 seconds slower a lap. We were over 3 seconds slower a lap at the end of the last run, so we were definitely giving up a lot more time. Both of our right side tires are in the red on the tire wear indicator. They are cooked. I'm scared for a 400 lapper here, what that's going to look like, so that might be a little bit more interesting. With this 50% race we've got it covered here today. We'll be back at Richmond for the regular season finale later in the year. Although I guess unless I clinch the #1 seed early, which is possible the rate we're going at right now, we might not end up running that race. A quick power slide. Everything is okay for the most part there. 2 to go. Ay, ay, ay. Now the left rear is in the red. It's getting worse and worse by the corner. Not even the lap, the corner. Lead just over 5 seconds now. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. I've given up about 2 seconds during the back portion of this run. That's all right. Give up another 4 this lap and we'll still win it. Oh, almost wrecked it. Don't want to do that. There's no cautions on the final lap. We would have been racing back to the checker. Quite a bit of contact there with the 40 of David Stremme. All right, we made it. Checkered flag in the air is a little sketchy there the last lap, but we did get it done. 5th win of the season for Kasey Kahne. Caution free for the first time this year, although it was, again, a 50% race, so we have not gone caution free in a full race. And obviously, with the last 26 races being full, we'll have to wait and see if that actually ends up happening. But it does for this evening. Very few lead changes. Check out the rest of the finishing order. Race statistics. Mike Wallace, man, 2nd place. Can't get over that. 28 laps led. He had a great day. 155 laps led for Kasey Kahne, a race winner. Only the 4 lead changes. 123.34 mile per hour average speed. 4.2 second margin to victory. 1 hour, 12 minutes, 57 seconds total time on the race. Kasey Kahne with the win. Mike Wallace in 2nd. Tony Stewart 3rd. 4th for Joe Nemechek. Ken Schrader 5th. 6th for Dale Jr. David Gillen 7th. Brian Vickers 8th. John Wood 9th. Jimmy Johnson led 17 laps from the pole. Rounds out the top 10 in 10th. Only 8 cars finished on the lead lap. Our teammates Elliott Sadler in 11th, just missing out on the top 10. Our other teammate, Scott Riggs, I believe DNF. No, he did finish. Just 3 laps down in 38. And the only 2 DNFs were Michael Waltrip, which we saw, and then on the leaderboard, which I saw over 100 laps after the fact, Jeff Gordon had blown a motor at lap 41. So that's it. Half the race, only 2 DNFs. And there's Kasey Kahne in victory lane. Doesn't look a lot like him. It looks a little bit. I can see it in the eyebrows. The eyebrows look reminiscent of Kasey. I hit the wrong button. I almost hit stop stream, so if there was a big lag there for a second, that would be why. Apologize for that. All right, Dodge Avenger 500, the Southern 500 at Darlington, will be the next race. Take a look at the point standings before we end the stream here. 447 points ahead of Jimmy Johnson, who ended up with another top 10 today. Our teammate Elliott Sadler still up there in points at 4th. It's kind of sad at Evernham. You got 1st, 4th, and then Scott Riggs is back at 30th. So he's got a ways to go. Mike Wallace, 10th in points. How about that? Top 12 will make the chase. There's going to be some underdogs in there. Ken Schrader is still 6th in points. Montoya is still 3rd. We haven't even had a road course yet. I don't understand this game, man. I really don't. You got guys like Martin Truex Jr. or 25th. Kurt Busch for Penske's in 23rd. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, at least Truex was DEI at this time, so I mean. Kyle Busch and Hendrick Motorsports Equipment is 32nd in points. Denny Hamlin's 34th. What is going on? This is not right. Jamie McMurray's 36th and Roush Equipment, Prime Roush, might I add. I don't know. Matt Kenseth's 40th? Matt Kenseth's 40th in points. The 2003 champ. I believe all 43 of these guys have ran every race, too. How is Matt Kenseth 40th? I haven't looked this far down in the standings all season. I didn't know any of this. What a surprise. All right. Well, that's a developing story. He's definitely not making the playoffs. I think he missed the chase in 2007 game as well. He was the first driver out at the end. So, man, Matt Kenseth in these EA games, they don't give him enough credit. They need to boost his ratings or something. He keeps missing the chase. Act like he's not a former champ. And he won it during a season-long consistency format, and he can't even get the consistency top 10. It's crazy. All right, well, thanks for tuning in tonight. Again, be sure to hit the like button. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow, NASCAR 08, 6 p.m. Eastern. I did move the start time, and the stream will be different. It'll be Boulder Raceway Park for the Truck Series. So again, Boulder Raceway Park, road course race for the Truck Series, the first road course race in that series. And second trip to Boulder, I finished 11th in the Busch race there, so I'm curious to see how the truck event will go. We'll qualify, try to get some practice in if I can get off work early enough tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for watching.